Welcome to Destiny's Not Dead. My name's Grindhead Jim. I am not dead, neither are you. Today we're talking about faction rallies and how this system has been much maligned and probably for good reason. Been talking about it here on the stream for a few minutes here, and I decided to kind of hop in and make this episode for you guys. What I've been saying since they made all the vamps to faction rallies for season 3 has been that it's less about the changes overall and more about the sum of its parts. So if you take any one of these extreme twists to the left or right and just kind of flip it off in the other direction, more than likely faction rallies will be just fine. The biggest one, in my opinion, being this forced single faction pledge across the account, which is very foreign to what we've been doing for close to a year. And certainly with Destiny 1 as well, although faction rallies weren't really a deal there. He had more choice about how you pledged and so forth. And not really allowing people a kind of a, if you'll pardon the term, a casual grind towards their goals. I would have loved to have mapped out, okay, I need to get this much in this amount of time per faction, per rally to get where I want to be. And then once I get that bare minimum, with each rally, I can grind on my main character, and then once she's done, I've got more time for the others. It took a lot of the freedom out of my hands and the players' hands in general to kind of determine how they were going to get the stuff they wanted. The basic idea of having to reach ranks for exotic catalysts and stuff like that isn't such a bad idea, but when you take so much of the freedom of choice of how that's done out of the player's hands, you take the risk reward and put it way off base, way off center. And I think that's the biggest failing of this particular change to how things are done. Which on one hand I kind of get, but I feel like moving forward we're going to have better systems and better ways of doing things. But right now we're kind of stuck here because even though they've said that the catalysts are going to be available moving forward in addition to season 3, they haven't said how it's going to be available. I think it'll be tied to either the new milestone system or to the new Triumph system, which will be seasonal as well as year-round and stuff like that. But that's pure speculation on my point. I have no basis on that other than just my best guess, right? So in the meantime, those of us that want to grind through and get all this stuff, for example, I got to rank 46.5 on the last faction rally in Dead Orbit. And since then, I really want to get that damn catalyst. And so for this faction rally, I am grinding for the sole purpose of getting, 4 ranks, which I'll have pretty quick here. Just in the time since I started streaming this morning, I have... Let me see. 40 Dead Orbit tokens. It's not bad. So that's 2 ranks right there. That'll put me at rank 48.5. And, it'll be just a couple quick runs down, a lost sector, and I'll be done. And when I'm done getting that rank, then I'll probably just utilize the rest of the time to grind for gear for the characters that don't have Dead Orbit gear. Just because, hey, I don't want to waste the rally. I'd like for them to get other stuff. And I'd like for them to have the option of wearing whatever they want. Because I find myself less... I like the faction gear a lot more than I do the planetary factions. And it's well, might as well get a lot of shaders, get a lot of armor. Why not? Why wouldn't I do that? Because I have a whole week to just kind of get stuff. But that's not the way I would be pursuing it if I were able to have more freedom with how we grind, which was always the case before. And I keep coming back to it. That's the one decision in all of this that I question. Why make it 1 faction per account? Why? Would it be too easy to grind on 3 characters for 3 factions? No, it's the same grind, but you can spread it out. And with all of this talk of, taking the solo player, the hobbyist that's part-time or whatever, okay, and they're trying to make the game more accessible for them. Whiffed that rocket pretty bad. Um, oh, two in a row. With all this talk about making the game more accessible for them, giving them more in-game activities and all this stuff in Forsaken, I really question this decision along the way because it just doesn't make sense in that context at all. Um, or if we had the faction rallies, be one faction per rally, but the catalysts weren't involved, I think it would be less of an issue. People were like, well, I still want to pledge to my faction and that's it. And maybe they're trying to make the other factions more appealing in some way. And certainly with what's happening with Ishtar Commander right now and the whole, like, if Future War Cult doesn't win, I'm closing down the app. Well, first of all, he's not serious. He's not. He said so on Twitter. He's just trying to stir something up, which he's very good at. And I commend him for trying to get his faction to win. I think it's great. But like you look at that and you see what that is doing in the community. It's like it shouldn't be about that, in my opinion. I feel like the faction rallies should be about choice. And a lot of choice has been removed, and that seems in direct conflict with the faction rallies that came before, but also where the game is going in general moving forward with Season 4 and Forsaken, because they seem to have a lot of emphasis on player choice. So it just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. And yet here I am, I'm still doing it. And, that becomes kind of like, that's part of the problem. That, despite all of my concerns, despite all of my distaste for what is being done, I'm still here and I'm still doing it. So it's like, does that make me and the player base that's still grinding part of the problem? Arguably, yeah. But I do feel like we're going to see more changes moving forward, and I hope that they're in a more freeing direction as opposed to not. Because I just do not understand. I can get these weapons doing anything. Why am I getting the catalyst specifically through rank? On one hand, I'm very grateful that it's something that's trackable and attainable in that way, but to make me do things in a very specific way to get there, whether we're talking about having the one account, the one pledge for account, or having a very limited number of type of activities to really sit and get a meaningful amount of tokens to get that rank, depending upon how you want to look at it, that's a problem. Because I feel like Bungie places a higher amount of loyalty to specific factions in their eyes than we do. Now, granted, I prefer Dead Orbit all the way. That's just the way that I am. I've pledged to New Monarchy and Future War Cult on my alternate characters since day one of Destiny 1, and certainly day one of Destiny 2. That's been tradition on my account. And that's been stripped from me. The legend I am building, the legacy I am building with these characters, and there's a bit of lore in the back of my head about how it works and why they're all pledged to these different factions. That's kind of been stripped away from me. And, I know I'm a broken record. Player choice. I just don't understand this move going in. And granted, I'm less salty about it now that it's like, well, I really can't do anything about it at this point. I've essentially using two faction rallies to achieve one thing, which is stupid. I should have the option of, somehow utilizing my time better. It's a bit of disrespect to my time management and other people's too. And if you're listening to this and you've already got from last faction rally or you're able to get it done, that's awesome for you. And I appreciate that you're able to do that. And, it certainly means it's not impossible. But I feel like, again, it's a player choice thing, and I don't like it. No likey. And I feel like it's going to have to change sooner rather than later. But, with these sort of things, that are in free updates, and they're certainly listening to player feedback on what we're saying, I feel like they've already got the solution ready to go. But once again, not telling us exactly where things are is kind of a pain in the keister. You'll have that. But ultimately, it's just Destiny. It's just an exotic catalyst that we've been told we'll be able to get after this season. So if I was really that, butthurt about it, I could easily wait until season 4 hits and wait till the new systems are in place and get the catalyst that way. So it doesn't make this choice any more laudable, in my opinion. But at the same time, it's like, well, if it's that bad, I won't do it. But I have the time, I have the desire, so I'm going to do it. And I really hope that Bungie delivers on this promise of player choice moving into Forsaken, because I don't ever want to see something like this again. I feel like it's a real detriment to the game. It's a detriment to community. And I feel like, I feel like I just really got wasted by a hobgoblin for no good reason. But in any case, that's Faction Rallies in Season 3. If you have questions or comments, leave them at Destiny's Not Dead or at Grindhead Jim. Destiny is most certainly not dead. I'm not dead, and I'm glad you're not either. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.